Hello everyone, Warangel here, and welcome back to our Western Roman Empire campaign for Total War Attila. Now, compared to last week where we were 2 days late, today we're only 1 day late with this episode. To be honest, I just wasn't feeling up to recording yesterday. I've had an off few days, shall we say, and so I thought rather than try and do it when I wasn't feeling the best, I'd rather wait until I'm feeling better, which I am today. So we are going to continue with the campaign today and hopefully be back on track next week. But today we are going to be starting things off with some revenge against rebels. Because if you remember last episode, we had rebels, the African faction, come and attack the city of Leptis Magna down here on the coast. Now, they had laid siege to the city for quite some time. We were trying to bring in some reinforcements for the city through... hang on, what was the name of this again? Legio Augusta, the 3rd Legion. That's it. These guys were marching as fast as they can to try and get to the city in time, and even going by boat so we can try and reinforce through the harbour. Unfortunately, they were delayed by a single ship led by a rebel admiral, which in my head canon was enough to delay the reinforcements enough for the siege to take place, and we'd lost the city. Now, I want to take it back, but we have two options on how to do this. We can go by land, or we can go by sea. Land is definitely the safer option, in my opinion. You don't have to worry about seasickness, you don't have to worry about trying to fit all your people in the city through the harbour, which only has a few landing sites. It is easier, but let me have a look. In fact, we can reach it. Oh no, wait a minute, we're not... This is not... hang on. Double time, wait. Okay. So that would be... Next turn we start the siege, and the turn after that we can attack, because then we would have built up some siege equipment. So that's 2 turns after this one. If we do attack though, the problem I've got is that I do not want this army to head back to Marcomedes. If it does, I checked it out last episode after we finished with... no, that's not it, that's Sabata, of course. Here it is. It has a garrison encampment, so the garrison itself is pretty strong. And if we reinforce with this army, it's going to be even harder. Compare that to the fact that it's taken damage in the army right now. It hasn't got much for garrison because they've only just taken it. I think it might be worth attacking by sea. Eliminate the army straight away, because if we can attack straight away, they can't escape, and by taking the city we wipe out the army, and then we can just head down there once we reinforce. Which one's best? The thing is, it is more dangerous. You know what? Screw it. We're going to do a naval invasion. I haven't done one of those in a very long time, so this will be a nice change of pace, won't it? So first of all, we're going to have to go after the single ship here, and at least, yeah, one ship, the Scourge of the Damned. That's a cool name. Oh, they do have some reinforcements. 7 men on a boat. Probably very hastily repaired. But, we'll go protective. Hopefully we don't have major damage to my cavalry units, because they always take the damage when you do naval. Okay. It's not too bad. We did take some from the combatants and spears here, and I think a couple from this one. You took casualty. Oh, why? Because, yeah, you got cavalry bodyguards now. Okay, fair enough. I don't think this is going to make any difference to replenishment, so I'm just going to go and kill them off. And let's attack. Okay, balance bar is about the middle. A little bit of leeway. They're not at full strength. Their cataphracti are quite badly damaged. And the garrison is very weak. We do outnumber them. We could win this. We're going to have to be careful though. We're going to have to be safe and precise. So I'll see you guys down on the battlefield, and let's hope this attack goes well. So here we are, guys, at the start of the battle. Now, as you can see, it's a beautiful day here on the African coast. It's coming to about mid-afternoon, if I had to guess from the position of the sun, and this is going to be a long battle. In fact, if I bring back up the UI, You can see the battle itself took 33 minutes, because I had to try and be a bit safe and focused throughout. So instead of showing you the whole 33 minutes, what I'm going to do instead is just focus on some of the highlights before we go into the main part of the battle near the end. Now, just to show off a couple of the things in the meantime, what I had with this unit here of these mercenary light Moorish cavalry was I originally had them set up over here with the rest of my cav. This is where they all started off the deployment anyway, so I left them where they were. But because I knew the enemy had an onager somewhere in the army, and I know how devastating those can be towards the ships if they can send off a full volley of flaming shot at them, I wanted to make sure we used up the enemy's ammunition as much as we could. So what I'm doing with this is a pretty standard kiting sort of tactic that people use in Attila, especially when it came to dealing with the Hun armies, eventually when you have to deal with Attila himself, because they are deadly accurate. I mean, they could use those onagers if for modern day warfare, they would be more accurate, I swear to God. Or gods, I guess, in this campaign. But a common thing to do is to basically kite your units. You get a cavalry unit and you just run them up and down. What I'm doing in particular is making sure that while they run in a direction, I wait for the enemy to fire the shots, because they're going to be shooting ahead to try and make sure they hit the unit. And then we'll just change their direction suddenly. So we're running them around, they're constantly avoiding the enemy artillery. They did take one casualty, as you can see from the body here, but it happens. It's not, 100% accurate, and when you're trying to deal with them eventually firing off different shots at different times, it can make things a little harder. But they continue to run away until, as you can see now, the enemy crew have run out of ammunition. They left the artillery pieces behind in the plaza, and they're just running off to try and help fortify the defences. With the onager then dealt with, what I'm doing with my cavalry is I'm starting to bring them around to this side of the battlefield. Now, I want them ideally to come into the city in order to try and help support the assault. And unfortunately, there's only one breach in the wall, and it's nowhere near here. So my options really were to try and go after one of the gates instead. Now, over on this side, there was a gate, but we've got enemy, crossbowmen watching over it, and these are deadly, as you can see in the UI on the bottom left corner. Excellent armor-piercing damage. Really not good. And likewise for the one over here, plus it's got all these towers, so, and the bastion onager as well. So I brought the cavalry over here and ended up sending my unit of scout Escapades as the largest one here. You can see them veering off now from where the others were going to be meeting up, in order to try and hack down the gates. Now this is going to take a very, very long time. Smashing down gates, as you can imagine, is hard at the best of times. And we don't have siege equipment, we don't even have anything useful like axes. We've got swords, and it's just going to be a case of them running up and trying to smack the gate with their swords again and again and again, until they can weaken it sufficiently for us to smash through the gates. So, yeah, it's going to take a long time, a very, very long time. So I'm just going to leave them there to do their thing. Luckily, they can't get shot at by enemy missiles. The only thing next to us right now is, cohorts with their javelins, but they can't fire down at these guys because of this bit sticking out. So we're just going to let the Escapades focus on the gates, and just to show what's happening now, you can see the rest of the ships now are making their way towards land. What I ended up doing is that the 3 ships I had in front, I've decided to use as the harbour attack force. So I'm setting them up just outside of a hold down spacebar, the range of this watchtower that would be firing flaming shots otherwise, not a good combination with ships. And these will make the landing at an opportune moment when the enemy has dedicated most of their defense to, my attack. And the rest of them are making their way onto this patch of beach. The reason being is that there is a gap in the walls for whatever reason, right here by the watchtower. It's not an ideal position, I admit, and it's going to be tough because we're only going to be able to send in so many units at a time, and it could be very easily blocked by the enemy. But we don't really have much choice in the matter. if it was going to be more difficult, what I may have to do is use a unit or something from these guys to land and sacrifice them in order to try and draw the enemy units away from the gap. But at the time, I was just going to hope for the best. So it's still going to take a little while for ships to land and do what they need to do. So let me cut forward a little bit further into the battle. So here we are, guys, a few minutes later, and if I hover over the gate, you can see we still haven't smashed our way nearly yet. Just over 55% now. Then I didn't realise at the time, actually, until I strolled over here, but the enemy did bring in this unit of Sagatari, but so I was very fortunate. For whatever reason, they decided not to fire down into the Equity units. That was quite nice. But while they're continuing to smash down the gates, something I decided to try and do was try and help my army out a little more. You can see we've set up a good formation over here just to make it look nice while we're waiting. But I sent that damaged unit of Combatanensis Spears forward into range of the archery unit here. I thought it'd be useful to just let the enemy waste their ammunition against us, and I didn't really particularly fuss about this one unit, so I sent them forward, put them into formation. You can see here on the UI down in the bottom left that their missile block chance is like 90%. It's really, really good. And if I hover over there, the percentage chance that the shield will block non-artillery missiles. So 90% of these shots are not even hitting the unit, essentially. And that's before you take into account their armor and everything else. So, well, I'm surprised the fronts of their shields don't look like pincushions, to be honest. They've been taken up there from shots. But they're holding on. They're holding on. Very proud of my little Romans. Now, if I'm going to speed things up a little bit more, right, just so we can get a funny bit that in hindsight I should not have done, but at the time I thought it was a good idea, and I wanted to check something as well, now that I've got the opportunity to do so in the replay. But we're still waiting for the archers to finish off their shots. These guys have been set up so we'd be able to send our Nordic spearmen in first, supported by the Roman units, and I had plans for my Levis armor turret later, but we'll get to that shortly. Right now though, just waiting for the Sagatari to run out of their last few shots. They're sending them in now. And this is going to help us out a bit because we'll be taking less damage as we come marching into the settlement. All we need to deal with in terms of my main army is to worry about that watchtower firing down on us. And potentially the one over here. But once we get to a certain position of the walls, things will be okay. Now this is the thing I wanted to check out. You can see the towers now firing away, and both of them are firing away this time. They're really doing a ton of damage here. Now what I was trying to do is get them into position for the crossbowmen, thinking, oh yeah, I'll be able to put them up into formation. It'd be nice and easy, like we did last time, and you can see them setting up now. I put them up here because it did say, if I could hover over the Bastari, that we were within range, but they weren't firing. Oh, and we got the news that my Escapades finally managed to damage the gates enough to destroy them. For good news. Now, I'm not sure what was happening here. Did I decide to swing them forward? I may have told them to come back and then move forward again later, but I don't remember doing that. I could have swore blind, I could have swore what I ended up doing was pulling them back a bit more and trying to get them into the range of the Ballistari here. And then they just get absolutely devastated. Oh, in fact, here they go now. Huh. Maybe I did move them back into the front line for whatever reason. I have no idea. Maybe I am right. I mean, something about these replays is that while they are very useful to show you guys the events of the battles afterwards, and it means I don't have to try and distract my attention by providing commentary and giving orders to my army at the same time, replays aren't 100% reliable. Like, sometimes they can go really badly with how the game remembers your movements. So if it does make any differences, I will point them out. But I can't remember if I did actually order them over there or not. I think maybe I did with a plan to try and get them so we are within firing range, but unfortunately you can see the unit's been devastated. That was it. I was right. Okay. So as you can see from the corpses, right, let me just carry on over. As you can see from the line of corpses, the unit decided to set up along here, and the plan was put them in here and then put them into formation. Now, when I clicked the formation, you guys will notice that the entire unit shifted to the left, and that's why we've got a line of bodies here, because they've shifted to the left and started trying to go into the pseudo formation. Now that does happen sometimes, and it's really annoying when it does, because you kind of want your testudo formation to be facing the enemy head on. So if they decide to turn left and let the enemy shoot into their vulnerable side, it makes things a little harder. Not that they would have had much chance anyway, well, given they were wiped out completely by those crossbowmen. Oh, this poor guy. He's just lying there. He's trying his best. You try and stay alive, dude. You try and stay alive. Surrounded by your dead buddies. I feel so bad about sending this unit in now. Oh god. Right. Okay, I'm not going to focus on him anymore. We've got the army starting to make its move in. So, the plan was this. We got my Nordic spearmen in the front. They're set up in their particular shield formation. I can't remember, it was this one, spear wall. That's the one. Giving us a bit of an increased missile block chance. It's not as good as defensive testudo, but it's 65% compared to 90. And having a 2/3 chance of blocking enemy arrows, I thought was a better choice than nothing. And you can see that the units have been firing down, and I haven't really managed to inflict many casualties. Oh, this guy's now sitting here, oh god. You don't notice the stuff when the battle's playing out, but it's afterwards and you think, oh no, you're leaving people wounded and dying on the battlefield behind you. Poor guys. But anyway, the plan was to do this. They were going to make their way into the breach. Two of the units were going to come over here and try and block off this approach. The enemy had a lot of cavalry around here, and I noticed this as I was starting to move in. And while I do have some units like this Legio Combatanensis and the other units here, it's still mainly cavalry, and I figured that Nordic spearmen would be good enough to be able to hold these enemies in place. While two units did that, the other two units were going to come over here. Yeah, we'll explain that in a minute. The other two units were going to come over here. In fact, you can see them here. Right? One of them is going to eventually go after the Secretary, the other one after this unit of Celtic spearmen. Now the AI did a bit of, excuse my French, a moment, fucky wucky, where they decided to just march straight up to the walls, and I think because of the amount of units that are going to be trying to make their way through that breach, I think the AI had in its head that it would be quicker for them to slowly walk all the way around and come in this way, than it would be just to wait for their turn and to go through the gap. Don't know why the AI thought that, but it's one of those things. Luckily though, they still haven't taken that much damage, and finally we're making our way slowly into the breach. Shield has been held high, spears at the ready, as the assault begins. Now the enemy are going to try and push forward and take the initiative. Their Legio Combatanensis is leading the way. Are they going to get the charge in, or was it me? I can't remember. Well, they still sent in those darts, but luckily because of the spear wall, we didn't actually take much damage from those darts. That's really good news to see. Unfortunately, we're not in the best position where we are. I wish we were able to push forward a little further, because now we've got units kind of trying to push their way in. And this is not just my other units. These are men from these original units as well, stuck at the moment. They're slowly making their way down and making their way into the battle. But I decided we can't just use the two units I originally planned, we're going to have to use a third. So we've got the 3 units now holding the line here against the enemy onslaught trying to push their way through. You can see the Combatanensis spears are trying to rush past. We've managed to engage this unit, well, get one unit into position here. The others are trying to fight with the Sagittari and with that. And this is something I needed to check. Right. I don't remember... this happened in the battle. I don't remember ordering it. I must have done it by accident. Because what ends up happening is that my cavalry units, because I had these grouped as group 2, maybe I had them selected, but they end up making the charge into the city against a unit of crossbowmen and archers firing away. The Moorish cavalry get in. My general doesn't.
A dark day. Our general has died as enemy.
That was unexpected and not good news. If I can actually show you guys quickly, right? If I hover over morale, having your general recently die gives you minus 15. to your morale. And yeah, because of this accidental assault done by my cavalry, which was really bad timing, I would not have ordered them now if I could have. But because of this, yeah, my Escapades already get shot to death. These guys must have got caught onto the bowman. That's the only reason I think that they got stuck there. No. What happened is I realized this happened when I got the news my general had died. So I figured I might as well take the opportunity to try and do some damage now they're inside. So the unit of Moorish cavalry dealt with the bowman. The crossbowmen still aren't doing the best. Well, they're still doing their worth. The bodyguards that managed to make it through tried to attack the cataphracti, but between getting shot in the rear by the crossbows, it just wasn't going to be enough. And very quickly then as well, the cavalry decided to retreat, so all my cavalry have been massacred over here. It was a shock, it really was. As we head back over here now, you can see the battle is continuing to basically hold in position. We've got a lot of the enemy's forces now engaged across this part of the town. My units are going to be struggling with their morale right now because of that minus 14. If we hover over, I think it does go down slowly over that. In fact, it would help if I use my own troops, wouldn't it? Yeah, General dead, minus 12. Quite problematic. It was concerning as the battle continued. But the spearmen are holding the line over here, and I'm trying to push forward then with my Legio and Unit Combatanensis spears. The plan was to try and deal with these two units and then get one of them to run around and engage the enemy in the rear, and the other one was to try and capture the watchtowers so we can bring in my javelins. That I put over here because I was hoping to get them to run through the gate and then be able to shoot at the enemy's position from behind. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out. These towers, for whatever reason, just refused to be captured. So I gave up in the end and used my men for more useful purposes. But you can see the Celtic spearmen have now been dealt with. The Ballistari are not going to be lasting too long. We did get the notification one of my spear units has decided to retreat. You can see them running away from the battlefield now. 90 men still left in the unit. Very annoying because I could have done with those men over here. And it was because of that as the ships landed with my harbour attack force, I had to send the Unit Combatanensis spears from that to attack the enemy in the rear. Just because of the amount of cavalry they had, I figured that would be the best use of the talents. While that was going on then, I sent the mercenary legionaries to go and deal with the rest of the enemy forces here. Now we've got two units of Limitani border guards. These guys aren't particularly good. My cavalry are winning. Sorry, my general guard. I can't speak now. My mercenary units are holding them off fairly well. I am doing what damage they can as the battle continues. Over here, it's going much more smoothly. We've already dealt with one unit of enemies. The enemy have brought in a unit of cataphracts, which originally was winning, but once we've got them pinned in position, the battle very quickly swings in our favour. And then we'll be able to use these guys then originally to try and swing around to attack the enemy from the rear again. But I noticed the barricade afterwards, so we end up just bringing them in to try and help hold the line here. Heading back over to the side, you can see my Legio trying to capture the tower, and again, this is what I mean. These are my units running through. These should all be contributing to the capture of the town. I could move them further in, admittedly, but I didn't want them getting shot at from by the enemy watchtowers any more than I could. So, despite the fact we are in position, it's very, very slowly capturing it. And eventually I just gave up, because I figured it'd be more useful for me to use my Legio elsewhere in the battle. So coming back to the battle itself, we are slowly winning. You can see enemy units have shattered and started to run away. Some of them are still holding on. We've got other units coming in, like this unit of Legio Combatanensis that originally fought before. This is when I decided, screw it, I'll bring my Legio in and we'll get them to deal with the enemy's mercenary units as they try and come in. Another unit had retreated at this point, but we still got a number of units here holding the line and trying their best to fight the enemy's units as much as we can. If we swing over here now, you can see we've now dealt with this section here. The cavalry are broken. They're very soon to shatter as well. These guys are still holding on strong. doing what damage they can. They're not, like I've mentioned before, designed really to do a lot of damage, but they do enough that they are able to hold the position quite well. But at this point, really, this is sort of the make it or break it. The enemy has still got 2 units left, and we are trying to surround them and just grind them down. Spearmen are still trying to hold away. This unit is still just standing around at this point. I didn't realise until I eventually sunk them in. This unit's starting to waver. As you can see, 7 morale, 5. Not going so well. But if we hover over here, you can see we still outnumber the enemy nearly 2 to 1. So we've still got a chance, guys, at this point. We still have a chance. But we are still trying to hack them down. They're still trying to hack us down. They are now surrounded by this point, by the way. They've got my units of spearmen here, another unit of spearmen here, the Legio charging into here, but we're still the ones that are sort of running away. This unit, 70 men left, yet they're the ones that decide to retreat. I think it was this point that I sort of remembered why I've still got this unit still standing around. I better deal with that. I used to send the Legio in to make sure to attack my unit of Exploratores, and between all of these, it's enough to get the enemy to break. We're letting the units hang around long enough to try and cause a shatter as much as we could. It's trying our best. It's a little difficult given that the enemy is still able to retreat as quickly as they could, but that was my intent nonetheless. And then we started moving the rest of the men in. If we pull it up a bit, you can see the only units the enemy have left is this unit of Onager on the wall, Balastari, their commander with his Palatina guard, and the units fighting my mercenaries over here. But we still needed to try and do enough damage. Just because the battle was in our favour, it still could go badly at the inopportune moment. I mean, you can see here, my Legio already started to waver, thanks to the shots coming in from the watchtowers behind us. But I couldn't afford to give anyone time to try and get and capture it. So, we're coming over here. You can see now one unit has started to waver. They're going to be breaking at any moment. The others will continue holding the position for a while longer. And then I had to decide what I was going to do about this. The enemy's bodyguards are in a very good position right on top of the ramp here. We do have a unit of Balastari making their way in. I knew I could not let these guys fire into my units, because they would just devastate them. So I send the Legio straight in, as you saw just then, to try and go after them. We are tired though. These guys are shaken. They have been fighting for quite some time. And these guys are fresh and lightly armoured. So it's not surprising that these guys are running away fairly quickly. We're getting shot at by the towers. These guys are shaken. It's just not looking too good for us at this point still. This unit is still wavering at this point. It's hanging on. It really, really is. But I needed to decide what I was going to do about the Palatina Guard. Now, luckily for us, we were able to secure the position here. As you can see, the enemy now have shattered. The onagers they're routing, I should say. And they do decide to come back, but I figured one unit will be more than enough to deal with them. What I ended up doing with the other one was hoping that we can bring them around, come up to the ramp here, and then be able to go after the enemies here and attack them from multiple sides. We do get the news, of course. One unit has broken, and it was that unit of Legio. Unfortunately, between the towers and everything, they just couldn't handle the extra penalties to morale. Really, really unfortunate. But luckily for me, the Balastari also break as well. The only unit left now on the battlefield for us to deal with is the Palatina Guard. So I decided just to go like this. My spearmen went straight into them, going to try and hold them in position, and then we're going to start bringing in the infantry behind them in order to deal with them. So speeding the camera up a little bit, you can see them making their way over slowly but surely. These guys are exhausted, right? And even now, I'm getting more and more concerned. One unit broke, another unit broke. And it's like, crap, I've only got 3 units left on the battlefield. I really wasn't sure what was going to happen. They decide to engage the unit of spearmen yet again. These guys are running past, and we're getting a charge in. And this was just lucky enough to cause them to break. Very quickly then, the enemy general was killed after this to make things as well. And as you can see, we've won with a Pyrrhic victory. It was a tough battle, and you can see if we look around just like the amount of bodies everywhere. And this is one of the more, well, hidden areas. You can just about make them out in certain corners, but wow. It was a victory, but what cost indeed. Anyway guys, with that, I shall see you back on the campaign map. Well, that was one hell of a battle. We took a couple of losses, I can see it, 2 full units being killed as well as the commander. But we managed to secure a victory nonetheless. We've managed to wipe out the entire enemy army, and that's some powerful units we had to deal with, Ballistari and things like that. These guys managed to kill a ton of my units. Still can't believe they managed to kill my general as easily as they did, but we managed to win, which is the most important thing. And we will go ahead and occupy it. Right, who do we want to take over? I mean, to be honest, none of these two really fit the bill. They're both merchants. But I'll go for you. Unfortunately, we'll have to give you Palatina Guard because it won't let me swap it out. I mean, the UI isn't really designed for alternative bodyguards like it was in Rome 2, so it's not surprising, in all honesty. But hey, we managed to beat them. We're going to now go ahead and recruit... Ooh. Okay, Limite Magister Militum. How many of these can we get? Just curious to see about boosting up the numbers a little bit, you know? But yeah, we'll do something like that. And then next turn we can go out to Marcomedes, take it out. And then that would be Africa dealt with. And then we can move on then towards the Sahara. As for everybody else, how are you all doing?
At your service.
Everybody seems to be fine doing whatever I've been asking them to do. Ah, you're there.
How can I serve Rome?
Oh, hang on. Hang on. I just noticed that. You guys are Turenum. Right. Let's go and deal with the Brothers of Ice. On you're just out of reinforcement range of the garrison. Crap. Let's have a look. Oh, wow. Equal numbers, but the balance bar is against me. I presume because of all these skirmishes. They have a ton of those. Well, I'm gonna have to fight this battle. There's no other way of doing it. I'm sure these will be easier to beat if I do it myself. So yeah, let's go for another fight. So here we are, guys, at the battlefield. Now, I just realised, looking at this, that the weather is very similar to what it was outside my window earlier today when I was recording it. Huh, what a coincidence. It's brighter now, luckily. But, anyway, so, as you remember, the enemy has a major skirmishing advantage, so I tried to set my army up in order to try and deal with this. Now, I know the enemy was set up somewhere in the distance in front of us. Let me just keep it slow for the moment. So what I've done is set up all my units that are able to go into defensive testudo on the front line, with my Nordic Spearman and my commander and his bodyguards in the second line. To the left, we've got my skirmishers ready to try and swing around and attack the enemy from the left flank, and then my onagers behind them. Now what I've deliberately done is, with all my infantry, and with the exception of the onagers, with all my infantry I've set them up hidden. The onagers are not. The reason being is I wanted the enemy to know where we were, so they can bring their line forward, and they're going to have to get pretty close to attack us with these skirmishers. So I was quite happy to let them do that. They can't see where we are, and I'm just waiting for them to get into range of my onagers. As you can see, they're just about to start firing their flaming shot. Now, the initial goal was really to try and go after the enemy's melee units, rather than worrying about their skirmishers. Especially since if they start going into loose formation like this, it does make it very, very difficult to try and hurt them. But we managed to get some good shots in. I just noticed here, this unit of levies took, well, nearly, 45% casualties in just one volley then. And we've got tightly packed units like the Germanic pikes over here, the Nordic levies in there as well. We're going to have an opportunity to do a lot of damage, especially with another shot there. That was mine. I decided to take advantage of the battlefield just to have a bit of fun and fire some shots in myself. So the single ones firing down right now, those are mine. And I managed to get much more luck with our second shot, luckily. And if you didn't know, what you can do is if you go onto a unit of artillery like the onagers and hit the insert button on your keyboard, you're actually zoomed down to a first person with a arc of fire and a target, so you can actually choose and have go shooting your own onagers. Very, very fun and can be useful if you want to try and fire your onagers very close to your battle lines. But I eventually gave up when I realized they were getting a bit closer. I think that was my last shot there. And we've done enough damage that this unit is already starting to waver. Others have taken a bit of damage across the board. And what you'll notice most importantly is that the enemy still has not been aware yet of my troops. It's only about now that they do. As you can see, it's an ambush. And I've already started moving my units forward to try and engage as many of those skirmishers as we can. Now, the enemy do have their melee units, of course, and they are going to be engaging with the front line a fair bit. But a lot of my troops are still going to be able to go after their units of skirmishers. And to help things out, I have my cavalry units deployed out on the far right in order for them to swing round in order to attack the enemy and start driving them away. So these skirmishers over here are not going to be able to do much. My cavalry charges in, really gets a few kills straight off the bat. You can see the casualties jumping down dramatically because of the charge, and it's enough to make me wave already. Going through the battle line here, you can see we've managed to kill off one unit already. This is the unit that was badly damaged before. And I'm still going on it, just firing into the battles and being careful to try and aim at people either in the rear of the battlefield of the line, so there's less chance of them hitting my troops, or to try and eventually go for units like this unit of skirmishers so they don't hit my troops at all. But very quickly, the melee part of the battle has ended. It's very much done. These two of the units are still going to be holding on. The enemy's general has attacked, but a few flaming shots have actually been enough to do a ton of damage before they even got into melee. And even when they got into melee, they still took 1 or 2 rounds. So with the news the general was dead, the battle swings very quickly in my favour, and before you know it, victory is mine. We've managed to chase down a number of the units. They've already shattered. This is the only unit, I believe, which is left if I hover over here. Oh no, that came out a bit more high-pitched than expected. No, there's still a few, but as you can see, I've got onagers firing down on them. Units making their way to try and engage them. This unit unfortunately took a fair bit of damage. I think it had the position problem where we're going after a lightly armoured unit, so these guys can move faster than mine. So they run forward, they take some shots, and then they run a skirmish back and take some shots. And yeah, didn't quite work. But at this point, we have won the battle. No enemy is left standing to fight. Oh, hiccups are kicking in now. And I just spend the next 3 minutes chasing down as many of the enemy as I can, trying to kill them off so we don't have to deal with them later on. But most importantly, the battle has finished, I've won, and with this, guys, we can make our way back to the campaign map. So there we have it, a decisive victory for us. Now, I feel we could have taken a few less casualties with our continental spears here, but it's sort of that balance on the other hand that we are fighting skirmishers that could outmaneuver us and had armor-piercing capabilities, so all in all, the fact that we took as few casualties as we did, pretty happy with. Now, what we're going to do with the captives, we got 190, 7% replenishment, or kill them. I will take the replenishment, I think. And you were able to retreat yet again. Oh, I hate that mechanic. Alright, go and kill them off. It should be a pretty easy fight. I will go aggressive, simply because they do have those skirmishes. I don't know if the onager would have offset it, but I might as well go for this. 68 casualties, 409 killed. I will take on the warriors yet again. And we are now back up to a pretty decent strength for all things considered. Okay, next job for you now. You're going to head back towards Roman Magnus. How is... Hang on, I just saw 36. Why is that? Game? Food and instability. Right, okay. So we're going to have to spend some money on building these. That's a little unfortunate. But if we don't have the food, that's minus 11. If we don't sort this out, the devastation will be a factor. Instability will be a pain in the butt, because that's going to be minus 15, and minus 14, minus 13, and so on. But at least all this is going to be helping a little, hopefully. So, You can make your way towards Toronum, I'm guessing. You can actually upgrade your garrison. I might as well use the money right now for that. Something I'm curious to try. It occurred to me in between episodes. For those of you who have played Shogun 2, you're aware that you have land bridges, essentially, that allow you to move armies from the central island of Japan towards, especially like the western island where the Shizuki starts, if I remember right. Shimaza? Oh god, it's been a long time since I've played for Shogun 2. I need to do that again at some point. Anyway, my point being is that in that game, you can block these land passes, like right here, if you stick a fleet in the middle. Now, I don't know if that's the case with Attila, but I'm happy to give it a try. Now, I'm hoping we can recruit something here and go to Magnus. Let's have a look. Okay, we can raise a fleet. That's fine. We've only got you. That's doable. And because I just don't want to have him just sitting there, what I'm going to do is... How many units can we build in one go? 3 units. Okay. What I will do is, I'm going to let you have a ramming ship, and I'm going to give you a couple of those. He can't move anyway, so we may as well take advantage and recruit a few units. And then we're going to stick it right here. If it works, the armies over in Britannia will not be able to just simply walk over and attack, do a Kotorum. Instead, they will have to go by boats, then make their way over probably to Road to Magnus, where we are going to be upgrading the garrison building. And we'll be able to hopefully get a bit more security up here. We'll see what happens, but that's my hope anyway. I think that is everything we need to worry about this turn now. Everybody else has moved around. We haven't got any rebels that I'm aware of right now. Well, we've got ones that have become factions, but we haven't actually got proper rebels sort of marching around trying to attack us, have we? No, that's good. Okay. Skills. Let's have a look. Hate smelly barbarians. Smelly, trouser-wearing, excessively bearded excuses for men. Bastards. Sure. What can we give you? Melee defense of the entire army I think will be a good call. Going for public order, just for the whole province while he's here, that could be quite useful. Yeah, we'll boost that up, and that gives extra cunning. If he gets 1 more point, we'll be able to do lightning strike, night battles with him. That could be useful. Right, you, I'm just going to stick with damnation, doesn't really matter. Governor. Let's go ahead and give merchant, just to help things out right away, and then we'll go for ducks. Hopefully we'll go for vicarious in order to get the corruption down a little bit in the area. And then for the Augusta, unfortunately there isn't any of these, which I think is suitable for dealing with African rebels. I mean, I suppose Bane of the East is the closest, but it's not really suitable. Instead, logistics, I mean, right man in the right place makes all the difference. To me, that seems quite suitable, given the fact that we've just marched halfway across the top of the African continent with this army in order to try and get here in time, and unfortunately we weren't able to. So I think it's quite fitting that we choose to have that. Alright, let's get that prepared. We could upgrade the land straight away, and I feel a little tempted to do this. Now, let's repair the breaches in the wall. Well, all in all, we'll have an eventful end turn phase. And in the interest of actually getting a bit more progress, rather than just going through the one turn, despite the battles we've had, we're going to play through one more turn and then we'll bring the episode to an end. So, first things first, in terms of office. It looks like a bunch of our generals have finished their time as a military count. Okay. Dalmatia is about to rebel. Magna Graecia is about to rebel, really? And Lusitania, why are you about to rebel? Difficulty leader events, -3. I don't know what events have contributed to this. Oh, it's going to be an absolute pain in the butt. I mean, we do have the Castellum Legion here, I'm going to have to see about marching down. Sure, we'll get you marching down towards Neapolis. This way then they'll be in position to be able to deal with any outbreaks of rebellion that happen down here. It's still unfortunate, but it has to be done. Alright, what was the other one? Lusitania, wasn't it? Yes, I think it was. Oh, you got -9. Oh, it might be because I just noticed you've got disease. No, that's only -2. The main problem is still religious differences, disease, characters. Why is characters a factor? I haven't got a governor or anything like that for here, so unless it's talking about my faction leader, maybe. So let's move you down here for now. I think we still got things we need to sort out across the area. We're trying our best. And there's only so much we can do. Probably have to try and see about upgrading. Something like Carthagenesis can work if we upgrade the governor's house, simply because we can afford the extra food, and we can always upgrade the olive trees to an orchard. That could be useful. Otherwise, yeah, and it'd be a better improvement in trying to upgrade this just to get an extra +1. But we've got 7,000. What I would like to have done, you know what, I'm going to do that right away. If we head up to here to Octodome, even you've got issues. I don't know. Right. One thing I wanted to do is upgrade this, so we're going to go ahead and do that right away, and then we can start sorting out everything else. These guys have still got a few more turns until they have to deal with potentially with rebellions. We've got an army at least around here. That's in a... Oh, actually, we've got an army right here. Wait, where's my other army gone? Did we not have one around here? With my faction leader in? Where has he gone? Oi, you! Where have you disappeared off to? Go to where you are. Oh, wait, you just... For whatever reason, I couldn't see him. Right. Okay. You get your butt over to Pompello. Hopefully we'll be able to get there in time to help deal with the Hispanic rebels that are formed. And we do have a little bit of cash. I will upgrade your legios. Right. What's left? You, Rogue Tier. We could actually get you in position to start marching down towards Tamasiga, but I would like, I think, some more units. I mean, what do we have? Two ships. A general with 13 men, and 5 men in here. I mean, it's 18, 20... Let's put you a little closer. What we'll do is we can fit 2 more units, so we're going to go ahead and just do that. We'll stick in one of each of these, why not? And then next turn, or next episode, we'll hopefully be able to go after Tamasiga. It may be a bit of a tough fight, but we'll see if we can maybe draw them out to attack us instead, or otherwise we do have access to onagers. We can use those to eliminate the enemy's towers before we have to go in and deal with them. But we'll sort that out. You will make your way over now to Marcomedes to see if we can take them out.
No one will escape!
Really? What is being forcing so much? You've got a general with mercenaries, okay. An admiral. A garrison. Ugh. I think it would be a good idea for us to actually attack them right away. But then... To be honest, if they come out to attack us, I think we can hold off the... we can deal with them pretty easily. I'm going to encircle, and we'll let them deal with it from there. Right, food is going to be a major issue. We'll go ahead and repair this, and we'll probably have to upgrade the jetty to fishing again. I mean, this is giving me plus 50. So why are we minus 30 right now? Oh, because of the garrison encampment as well. Right. Okay. Is there anything else we need to think about or worry about right now? Oh yeah, my ships are done. Let's move you now over towards here. Because it says here land bridge. So I'm hoping that my plan will work. And by sticking this here, it's going to stop them just marching over. when they do, we'll have an advanced warning. If I can send my fleet that I'm currently recruiting down here, where is it, in Palma, when we can send these up, that should give us enough power now to stop any real naval attacks from the north, until we're in a position to deal with them myself. Otherwise, I think that's everything for now. I'm going to go ahead and end the turn. Huh. Okay, Britain. I see your games. We're going to start the next episode off now with this attack. Britain has come with a whole host of Nordic spearmen, a couple of mercenary units here, and the Celtic Onager as well. We do not have that ourselves, so that's going to be a bit of an issue, but I'm hoping with the aid of the watchtowers we'll have in the settlement, it may be enough to help. If not, well, things are going to be a bit rough for us. But we'll end things here for today. Thank you for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed, and that you do join me next time, of course, for some more Attila. But until then, everybody, take care, and goodbye for now.